Tonight, we step into a world where gods were summoned not with prayers, but with poison. In the jungles of ancient Mesoamerica, the Maya carved altars not for gold, but for mushrooms. They brewed liquors laced with toad skins, drank the urine of animals high on deadly fungi, and forced entire villages into trances with enemas filled with intoxicants. You won't hear of knights or emperors here, only shamans shaking under psilocybin, warriors swallowing peyote before battle, and victims of sacrifice numbed by water lilies before their hearts were torn out. This isn't about monuments or calendars. It's about a civilization that believed hallucinations were divine speech, and that pain, madness, and ecstasy were simply the price of reaching the gods. If you want history's darkest secrets told without restraint, hit like and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, would you dare sip from a Maya ritual cup? Now steady your breath and follow me into Mayan drugs uncovered. You stand at the edge of time, feeling the humid air of ancient Guatemala settle around you, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant jungle flora. Imagine the vast emerald canopy stretching for miles, concealing secrets beneath its swaying leaves. For centuries, historians believed they understood the Maya, envisioning them as celestial architects, meticulous calendar keepers, and skilled city builders, their towering pyramids piercing the sky. Yet, beneath this well-worn narrative, another, more profound truth was slowly unearthing itself. You trace your fingers over ancient stone, not on a grand temple, but on something far more intimate, far more unsettling. These aren't just carvings. They are echoes of a practice almost too extreme to comprehend. The earth has yielded hundreds of these curious artifacts across Guatemala, silent witnesses to rituals performed more than 2,000 years ago, small, sometimes no larger than your hand. These stone figures feature a cap-like top, resembling a mushroom, often with a face or a small figure carved at its base. For a long time, these mushroom stones, as they came to be known, were dismissed, perhaps misinterpreted as simple phallic symbols, relics of a fertility cult. But the whispers of the past, carried by archaeological insight, began to tell a different story. As you look closer, the organic, almost naturalistic form of the mushroom becomes undeniable, its significance profound. This wasn't merely a symbol, it was an icon, a potent emblem of a deeply ingrained mushroom cult, woven into the very fabric of Mayan life and belief. The implications ripple through the stillness of the jungle. Consider the weight of such a discovery, a civilization, not just acknowledging, but actively legitimizing collective altered states, profound drug-induced experiences, all under the sacred banner of their religion. This wasn't a fringe activity for a select few. It was a societal foundation. You can almost hear the rhythmic drumming, the collective breathing, the shared anticipation. Scholars now often link these mushroom rituals to the chilling narratives found within the Popol Vuh, the sacred book of the Quiché Maya. It speaks of the 9 lords of Xibalba, the underworld, a realm often reached through trials and transformations. Were these journeys into Xibalba, these encounters with deities and demons, not merely allegories, but vivid, visceral accounts of drug-induced spiritual voyages? For the Maya, the gods didn't just speak from the heavens, they manifested through the very depths of human consciousness, appearing in the swirling, kaleidoscopic visions induced by these powerful fungi. You begin to understand that to truly know the Maya, you must first comprehend their willingness to step beyond the veil of ordinary reality, seeking divinity in the shadows of their own minds, accepting that the path to the sacred often led through the unsettling embrace of collective trance. Now, as you delve deeper, you come to understand the nature of the primary conduit for these divine encounters, the humble yet potent magic mushroom. For the Maya, these fungi were not mere plants. They were gifts from the cosmos, imbued with a sacred essence so profound that they were reverently called the flesh of the gods. You can almost picture them, growing in the damp, shaded corners of the jungle floor, unassuming yet holding the key to unlocking the very gates of perception. The active compound within these mushrooms, psilocybin, would begin its slow, deliberate work once ingested. Imagine the subtle shift, the gradual unfolding within your own mind. You might first feel a gentle tremor, a racing heartbeat quickening its pace, a prelude to the profound changes that are about to occur. Then, the world around you would begin to distort, colors deepening, textures becoming more vibrant, the familiar contours of reality softening and melting into something entirely new. A sense of awe, perhaps tinged with a delicate fear, would wash over you as the familiar anchors of your perception gently loosen their grip, allowing the currents of hallucination to take hold. These were not solitary journeys. Envision yourself amidst a gathered community, perhaps within a ceremonial hut or a clearing bathed in moonlight. The air vibrates with the steady, insistent thrum of drums, a deep, resonating beat that penetrates the very core of your being. Chanting, a rhythmic chorus of voices, rises and falls, weaving intricate patterns of sound that envelop and guide the experience. These ancient sounds are not just music. They are a sophisticated tool, synchronizing the individual experiences, drawing the entire community into a shared, collective trance. You feel the boundaries between self and other dissolving, the individual consciousness merging into a larger, communal flow, all moving towards a singular, shared spiritual destination. Archaeological evidence, stretching back an astonishing 300-500 years, confirms the antiquity of these practices, suggesting that the use of psilocybin mushrooms predates even the grandeur of the classic Maya period. These rituals were not a fleeting trend, but an enduring cornerstone of their spiritual lives. Picture the scene with a chilling vividness, entire villages caught in the throes of these altered states, their bodies convulsing with the intensity of the visions. Eyes rolled back, pupils dilated, lost to the external world. Their lips move, perhaps in murmurs, perhaps in ecstatic cries, as they chant the ancient names of their deities, their voices resonating with a primal energy. Anthropologists today view these practices as far more than mere drug indulgence. They see them as a complex system for encoding and transmitting cosmology. Through these shared, profound, altered states, the Maya quite literally experienced their universe, their gods, and their place within the grand design. It was a living, breathing encounter with the sacred, a way to imprint the very essence of their beliefs onto the collective consciousness, a testament to the power of shared vision in the heart of the jungle. As the vibrant, swirling patterns of the psilocybin begin to soften, you realize the profound impact these experiences had on every facet of Maya society. It wasn't merely a spiritual diversion. It was the very engine of their governance, the guiding hand in their monumental decisions. The belief was deeply ingrained. The benevolent serpent god, revered and feared, was the divine dispenser of these mushrooms. This deity, often depicted with feathers and fangs, was seen as the one who graciously opened the gates of the heavens, allowing mortals a glimpse into the cosmic truths. You can almost feel the weight of this belief, the reverence mixed with a subtle apprehension, knowing that the pathways to divine knowledge were potent and unpredictable. Imagine a scene of immense gravity, perhaps in the heart of a grand city, within the cool, shadowed walls of a ceremonial chamber. Here, leaders, shamans, and perhaps even the king himself would embark on these hallucinatory journeys. Their visions, born from the flesh of the gods, were not dismissed as dreams or fancies. Instead, they were meticulously interpreted, painstakingly deciphered, becoming the absolute bedrock for crucial societal decisions. You watch as the swirling patterns of mescaline or psilocybin guide their hands, shaping the destiny of their people. Were these visions dictating the onset of a war, calling for the sacrifice of a captive, or perhaps determining the precise timing for the planting and harvesting of vital crops? The very rhythm of life, from the earth's bounty to the shedding of blood, was orchestrated by these profound, drug-induced revelations. The academic world, exploring the narratives of the Popol Vuh, finds intriguing parallels. The perilous journeys into Xibalba, the underworld, undertaken by the hero twins, often involve surreal encounters and transformative challenges. These epic tales, once considered purely mythical, now resonate with a new, deeper meaning. You ponder whether these were not just stories, but symbolic representations. A cultural memory of countless group rituals where shamans and leaders descended into their own drug-induced underworlds, navigating the landscapes of their subconscious to find answers for the waking world. The truly shocking revelation, the one that makes you pause, is the realization that this was a society where hallucinations literally dictated politics and law. Picture the sheer weight of such a system where the king's next decree, the justice of a court, or the survival of a village could hinge on the interpretation of a hallucinatory vision. And, in a darkly humorous, almost absurd twist, you might even consider the sheer pressure to trip the right way. What if your vision contradicted the consensus? What if the gods spoke to you in a language no one else understood? Could you be punished for misinterpreting the divine, for failing to achieve the correct spiritual encounter? This bizarre fusion of mythology and narcotics created a delicate and dangerous balance, where the boundaries between spiritual enlightenment and collective delusion blurred into an intoxicating, profound, and utterly unique form of governance. You feel the heavy air of destiny, shaped not by logical debate, but by the vivid, untamed landscapes of the mind. As you continue your journey through the pharmacopoeia of the ancient Maya, you encounter a practice so unusual, so seemingly bizarre, that it stretches the very limits of your understanding. Yet, it reveals a profound, albeit unsettling, grasp of nature's potent chemistry. Imagine a distant, chillier landscape, far removed from the humid Maya jungles, though the knowledge itself traveled and adapted. Here, among certain groups of Maya shamans, a peculiar substance was revered, the crimson and white spotted mushroom known as Amanita muscaria. This isn't the psilocybin mushroom you encountered earlier. While visually striking and undeniably iconic, the Amanita muscaria is known to be toxic in its raw state. Yet paradoxically, it holds a powerful hallucinogenic key. Now, prepare yourself for a truly shocking realization. You witness a ritual that defies modern sensibilities, yet was deeply sacred. Maya shamans, with a profound understanding of the mushroom's properties, did not consume the Amanita muscaria directly in the manner of their psilocybin rituals. Instead, they performed a complex, indirect ingestion. They would observe reindeer, known to consume these red and white fungi with seeming impunity. The reindeer, after ingesting the mushrooms, would experience their own altered states, wandering with a curious gait. And then, the shamans would approach these animals, collecting their urine. You stand in quiet disbelief as this bodily fluid, filtered through the animal's system, was raised as a holy wine to be drunk in their sacred rituals. The image is stark, perhaps horrifying in its visceral reality. Yet the underlying logic, from an ancient pharmacological perspective, is surprisingly sound. Academics have meticulously documented the very same practice among Siberian shamans, thousands of miles away. This cross-cultural discovery provides compelling evidence of a shared, ancient knowledge, a deep understanding of certain natural compounds that transcended geographical barriers. It speaks to a global consciousness, an ancient network of shared wisdom, or perhaps simply a parallel discovery born from similar needs and intense observation. The science behind this peculiar ritual provides a fascinating, if somewhat unsettling, explanation. The active hallucinogenic compound in Amanita muscaria, called muscimol, possesses a remarkable characteristic. It passes through the mammalian digestive and urinary systems almost entirely unchanged. This means that when a reindeer, or indeed a human, consumes the mushroom, the muscimol is absorbed into the bloodstream, produces its psychoactive effects, and is then excreted in the urine, still largely intact and potent. You find yourself contemplating this blend of horror and scientific logic, a testament to the Maya's willingness to push the boundaries of ingestion, to find the sacred in the seemingly profane, demonstrating a sophisticated, albeit empirical, understanding of pharmacology that was centuries ahead of its time. You realize that for them, no avenue was too unconventional, no method too strange, if it promised a connection to the divine. Your journey now takes you from the humid jungle floor to the arid, sun-baked landscapes of the desert, where another potent plant held profound significance for the Maya, connecting them to the vastness of the cosmos. Here, in the stark beauty of the drylands, grew the peyote cactus, a humble, spineless button that concealed an astonishing array of over 60 different alkaloids within its fleshy green tissue. The most famous and potent among these is mescaline, a compound renowned for its powerful psychedelic effects. You can almost feel the dry heat on your skin, the grit of the desert underfoot, as you approach this unassuming plant, knowing the immense power it held. Archaeological evidence stretches back an incredible 5,000 years, tracing the use of peyote far beyond the Maya into earlier Mesoamerican cultures, with finds discovered even as far north as Shumla Cave in Texas. This long history underscores its enduring spiritual and ritualistic importance. Now, imagine a scene of raw, primal energy, a striking contrast to the collective trance of the mushroom rituals. Picture Maya warriors, their bodies painted for battle, their minds sharpened by the arid landscape. They are not merely preparing for conflict, they are undergoing a profound transformation. You watch as these formidable figures chew on the bitter peyote buttons, their faces etched with a fierce determination. The mescaline begins its work, slowly at first, then with an accelerating intensity. Beads of sweat form on their brows, their eyes bulge slightly, reflecting the internal storm of sensations. Before them, the world begins to shimmer and fragment, transforming into kaleidoscopic visions of vibrant colors, intricate patterns, and swirling energy. Time itself might stretch and contract, losing its familiar rhythm, while their bodies might feel a profound sense of weightlessness, as if they are floating above the very earth they are sworn to defend. This wasn't merely a stimulant, it was a psychological weapon, a means to achieve a terrifying and transcendent state before facing the brutal realities of combat, perhaps transforming fear into a divine fury. From a scientific perspective, mescaline operates by disrupting the brain's serotonin pathways, essentially tricking the mind into perceiving what feels like a false transcendence. It creates an experience of profound spiritual insight, an encounter with the divine, even though its origins are purely biochemical. You are left to ponder this ancient enigma were the Maya, in their relentless pursuit of divine connection and martial prowess, conducting an unwitting, elaborate experiment in early neuroscience. Or were they, in their drive to connect with the gods and enhance their warriors, engaging in a reckless act of self-poisoning, blurring the lines between spiritual awakening and dangerous intoxication? The desert wind whispers its ancient questions, leaving you to contemplate the fine line between revelation and risk, a boundary that the Maya fearlessly crossed, driven by their unyielding belief. As you venture deeper into the Maya's extraordinary pharmacopoeia, you encounter a source of intoxicant that is both undeniably potent and profoundly dangerous, a testament to their unwavering commitment to reaching the divine, even at the precipice of death. Here, the humble bufo toad, a creature often seen in the damp undergrowth, becomes a key player in their sacred rituals. This unassuming amphibian, however, holds a lethal secret. Its glands secrete bufotoxin, a powerful cocktail of compounds that, in the right dose, can be a potent hallucinogen, and in the wrong dose, an instantaneous killer. You sense the tangible risk, the dance on the edge of oblivion, as you consider this next substance. The Maya, with their deep and intuitive understanding of the natural world, learned to harness this dangerous secretion. They would carefully collect the bufotoxin, often by gently milking the toad's glands, then meticulously dry and powder the skins, transforming them into a concentrated, potent substance. This powder was then carefully mixed into their fermented liquors or even incorporated into tobacco for smoking. Imagine the preparation, the precise measurements, the understanding that a slight miscalculation could mean not spiritual enlightenment, but a swift and irreversible journey to Xibalba. You can almost smell the acrid scent of the dried toad skin, mingling with the sweet fermentation of their drinks. This wasn't just a drink. It was a toxic cocktail, a profound duality. It was half cure, believed to possess medicinal properties, and half suicide, carrying an undeniable, inherent risk. Historical sources, particularly from the 16th century, provide chilling accounts of the Maya intentionally drugging themselves with these toad skin brews, seeking visions and insights. These aren't vague references. They are detailed descriptions from Spanish chroniclers who witnessed these intense rituals firsthand, observing the profound and often violent effects. Remarkably, this ancient practice has echoes that survive even today. Among the Quiche Maya, you can still find traditions that involve adding a small, carefully measured amount of toad skin into their ceremonial drink. Balché. This enduring practice underscores the deep cultural roots and the persistent belief in the power of these animal-derived substances. From a documentary perspective, this reveals a crucial aspect of Maya medicine, a profound and often startling philosophy that believed every poison in the right dose, was a cure. You consider this ancient wisdom, this willingness to embrace the dangerous, to push the boundaries of what is considered safe, all in the service of healing, vision, and connection to the spiritual realm. The silent, watchful toad, with its hidden power, becomes a symbol of the Maya's audacious spirit, their fearless exploration of nature's darkest secrets to unlock the mysteries of consciousness. From the potent, venomous secretions of the toad, you now turn to another ceremonial brew, one that perhaps holds an even deeper, more communal significance for the Maya Balche. This isn't just an ordinary alcoholic drink. It is a sacred elixir, carefully concocted from the bark of the Lonchocarpus tree and sweetened with honey, gathered by bees that feed on the intoxicating nectar of Extabentune flowers. You can almost taste its earthy, sweet, yet subtly bitter flavor, a taste that was believed to transport the drinker beyond the veil of the living. The key to Balche's profound effects lies within the Extabentune seeds. These unassuming seeds contain ergine, a natural alkaloid that is chemically related to LSD, capable of inducing powerful psychedelic experiences. When combined with the fermented bark and honey, the resulting brew becomes a potent doorway to altered states of consciousness. Spanish physicians, like the observant Juan de Cardenas in the 16th century, recorded their astonishment and horror at the effects of Balche. He wrote of drinkers descending into total madness, their minds unmoored from reality, their actions often frenzied and uncontrollable. Now, imagine the scene with chilling clarity: entire villages, not just individuals, but whole communities, gathered together, consuming copious amounts of this potent Balche. You watch as the collective experience takes hold, the initial euphoria giving way to profound disorientation, then to a state of vivid hallucination. In this shared delirium, a remarkable and deeply spiritual phenomenon would occur. The villagers would claim to speak directly with their dead ancestors, their voices filled with conviction, their eyes reflecting visions of the departed. The boundaries between the living and the dead, between the present and the ancestral past, would dissolve under the influence of this powerful drink. From an academic perspective, these seances were not mere flights of fancy. They served a crucial societal function. Through these drug-induced dialogues with their ancestors, the Maya sought answers and explanations for the inexplicable hardships that plagued their lives. You can hear their voices, perhaps in whispers, perhaps in cries, seeking guidance regarding devastating plagues that swept through their communities, pleading for understanding in the face of bad harvests that threatened starvation, or trying to decipher the causes and strategies for the relentless wars that consumed their lands. Was this a form of ritualistic therapy, a communal way to process trauma and seek meaning in a harsh world? Or was it, in its rawest form, a mass delusion, a collective escape into a shared hallucination, where comfort and answers were found in the intoxicating embrace of ancestral spirits? As the scent of fermented bark and sweet honey lingers in the air, you are left to ponder the complex interplay of faith, pharmacology, and the desperate human need for connection beyond the grave. Having explored the varied methods of oral consumption and smoking, you now encounter perhaps the most startling and technologically advanced method of drug administration developed by the ancient Maya, a practice that truly pushes the boundaries of their pharmacological ingenuity: rectal drug administration. You visualize the intricate craftsmanship, the focused intent behind these unique tools. The Maya, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of human anatomy, invented specialized clay syringes, These weren't crude instruments. They were often beautifully crafted, sometimes even adorned, designed specifically for the purpose of administering potent substances directly into the rectum. The shock of this method is undeniable. Imagine not drinking or smoking, but directly pumping alcohol, concentrated mushroom extracts, or potent peyote preparations straight into the bloodstream. You envision the ritual unfolding, perhaps in a more intimate setting, away from the public eye, where a shaman or designated ritualist prepares the intoxicating liquid. The choice of this method was not arbitrary. It was driven by a keen, empirical understanding of the body's physiology. The rectal veins offer a significantly faster absorption pathway than oral ingestion, bypassing the slower digestion process and the first-pass metabolism in the liver. This meant a quicker, more intense, and often more overwhelming onset of effects, catapulting the user into a profound altered state with astonishing speed. Archaeological depictions offer irrefutable proof of this practice. You can find scenes meticulously carved onto Maya pottery, some surprisingly explicit, showing individuals engaged in these enema rituals. These ancient artworks are not merely decorative. They are instructional, documentary evidence of a widespread and accepted practice. You observe the figures in these carvings, their expressions often intense, their postures indicative of the profound physical and psychological impact. The result of this rapid, direct administration was a series of violent trance states, far more immediate and forceful than slower methods. You picture the recipient, body racked with spasms, eyes rolling back, fully consumed by vivid, often terrifying, visions of gods, demons, and ancestral spirits. This direct assault on the senses was designed to induce the most profound and immediate connection to the divine possible. This practice stands as undeniable proof of the Maya's primitive, yet remarkably effective, pharmacological knowledge. They were not merely experimenting. They were systematically developing and refining methods to maximize the impact of their sacred substances, pushing the human body and mind to their absolute limits in their relentless pursuit of spiritual revelation. You feel the uncomfortable intimacy of this ancient science, a raw, uncompromising approach to unlocking the doors of perception. As your journey nears its end, you encounter a plant that whispers of gentler sedation, yet carries the dark shadow of the Maya's most chilling practice. Amidst the still, dark waters of the jungle's cenotes and ponds, grew the white water lily, Nymphea ampla. This beautiful, ethereal flower, with its broad, luminous petals, was far more than mere decoration. For the Maya, it was their equivalent of opium, a powerful botanical agent used to soothe, to entice, and tragically, to prepare for the ultimate sacrifice. You can almost see its delicate petals floating on the surface, its roots reaching deep into the murky bottom, holding secrets both serene and sinister. The white water lily was a versatile plant in the Maya pharmacopoeia. It was prized for its sedative properties, capable of calming agitated minds and easing physical discomfort. It was also revered as an aphrodisiac, believed to enhance desire and fertility, its beauty mirroring its power. And crucially, it functioned as a potent painkiller, dulling the sharp edges of physical suffering. Imagine the gentle aroma, the subtle taste, slowly lulling the senses into a state of placid detachment. Here, however, the narrative takes a profound and chilling turn. The most shocking revelation regarding the water lily connects directly to the Maya's practice of human sacrifice. you witness a scene bathed in the flickering light of ritual fires, where victims destined for the sacrificial altar were often administered doses of this powerful sedative. Picture their faces, perhaps serene, perhaps vacant, their pain and terror dulled by the lily's embrace, before their hearts were ritually cut out. The lily, in its serene beauty, became an instrument of both mercy and profound brutality, allowing the priests to perform their sacred duty with less resistance, ensuring a more pure and tranquil offering to the gods. Archaeological art vividly illustrates the lily's pervasive presence in Maya culture. You will find its elegant form depicted constantly in sacrificial imagery, its symbolism intertwined with scenes of death and rebirth. It also appears frequently in fertility iconography, underscoring its dual role in promoting life and easing the transition to the afterlife. Beyond the water lily, the Maya also utilized a broader array of other hallucinogenic and psychoactive plants. Wormwood, known for its bitter properties; Tagetes lucida, or Mexican marigold, revered for its euphoric effects; and various datura species, potent and often dangerous deliriants, were all part of their complex repertoire. From an academic perspective, it becomes clear that the Maya didn't just stumble upon these plants. They maintained a sophisticated, expansive, sacrificial pharmacopoeia, a meticulously curated collection of substances, each selected for its specific properties, all serving the grand, often terrifying, tapestry of their spiritual and ritualistic life. You feel the gentle yet inexorable pull of the water lily, a testament to the Maya's profound control over the boundaries of life and death, consciousness and oblivion. As you step back from the immersive depths of the Maya's world, a complete picture emerges, one that challenges your preconceived notions of ancient civilization. The Maya, those masterful builders of celestial observatories and towering pyramids, left behind not one, but two enduring legacies. The first is the breathtaking architectural and calendrical genius that still inspires awe. The second, equally profound and perhaps more unsettling, is a meticulously explored catalog of sacred narcotics, a testament to their relentless pursuit of spiritual insight through altered consciousness. You recall the shocking list. Each item a doorway to a different realm of perception: the psilocybin mushrooms, flesh of the gods, unlocking collective trances; the peyote cactus, the desert's powerful mescaline, preparing warriors for battle; the bizarre yet logical practice of drinking reindeer urine, harnessing the power of Amanita muscaria; the perilous bufotoxin from toad skins, a cocktail of healing and hazard; the fermented balchet, calling forth the ancestral dead with its urgine-laced sweetness; and the audacious use of enemas, shooting drugs directly to the heavens for rapid, violent visions. What strikes you most is the confirmation offered by modern science. Today, with our advanced understanding of pharmacology and neuroscience, we can confirm the very real, potent effects of many of these ancient substances. Psilocybin, mescaline, bufotoxin, urgine, these aren't mere folklore. They are scientifically verified psychoactive compounds. The Maya, without laboratories or microscopes, intuitively understood the chemistry of their world, identifying and utilizing these compounds with astonishing precision. The ultimate takeaway from this journey into their consciousness is the revelation of a civilization defined by a profound fusion. It was a fusion of deep religious conviction, where God spoke through vivid visions, of proto-scientific inquiry, an empirical exploration of plant and animal chemistry, and perhaps a pervasive, societal-level addiction, a reliance on these altered states to navigate the complexities of life and death. As you stand now, the echoes of ancient drums fading, you are left with a final, lingering shock question, one that reverberates through the ages. Were the Maya truly spiritual geniuses, unlocking higher planes of existence through these powerful substances, achieving a profound connection to the cosmos? Or do their practices serve as a stark warning, a cautionary tale about the perils of drug-fueled delusion, where the lines between divine truth and intoxicating fantasy blurred into a dangerous, all-consuming haze? They drank, smoked, and injected to meet their gods. You have witnessed their journey. Now, as the shadows lengthen and the jungle settles into its quiet rhythm, you must ask yourself, would you dare try it? Would you dare sip from a Maya ritual cup and step into a world where the gods await in the depths of your own altered mind? You are standing on the edge of a vast emerald sea, not water, but the unbroken canopy of the Central American jungle. The air around you is thick, humid, a living breath scented with damp earth, blooming orchids, and the distant, unseen presence of wild creatures. Above you, through a break in the leaves, the colossal, ancient stones of a pyramid pierce the low-hanging mist, their gray forms silhouetted against a sky that is just beginning to lighten with the first whispers of dawn. The jungle itself is a symphony of subtle sounds, the rustle of unseen life, the distant call of a howler monkey, the drip of moisture from a leaf. You are here, in the heart of the Maya world, a civilization of astonishing brilliance and profound mystery. You've heard of the Maya, of course. Their intricate calendars, so precise that they tracked celestial movements with breathtaking accuracy. Their advanced mathematics, their majestic cities, their profound understanding of the cosmos. These are the narratives that often reach us. Tales of intellectual prowess and architectural marvels. But as you stand here, feeling the ancient stone beneath your bare feet, a different layer of their existence begins to reveal itself. A layer that whispers of practices and beliefs that challenge our modern sensibilities. Customs that, to our eyes, might seem chilling. This journey is not just about historical facts. It is about stepping into their worldview, about understanding what was utterly normal for them, yet feels profoundly eerie to us now. Imagine living in a society where the lines between the sacred and the terrifying were not just blurred, but intricately interwoven into the very fabric of daily life. This is the essence of what we will explore tonight, the ordinary horrors, as we might perceive them, that were simply part of being Maya. It wasn't just their profound religion that held these intriguing customs. Even aspects of their everyday existence, their sports, their notions of beauty. The simple habits that made up a day were touched by a profound and sometimes bizarre spiritual significance. You are not merely an observer, you are moving through their world, feeling the weight of their traditions, seeing through their eyes, as much as our modern minds can allow. We will uncover how their world, both majestic in its achievements and unsettling in its rituals, functioned. Let the soft light of this ancient morning illuminate a path into a civilization that was, in every sense, breathtakingly complex and profoundly, quietly, unsettling. This is their reality, as you begin to experience it, a world where the very air hums with stories untold, and where the past reaches out with a gentle, yet firm, hand. As the early morning mists begin to dissipate, a new sense of the world settles around you. You feel a subtle thrumming in the air, a spiritual current that permeates everything. For the Maya, The cosmos was a delicate balance, an intricate dance maintained by the constant energy of the gods. And these gods, they believed, demanded a most precious offering to continue their celestial duties. To ensure the sun rose each day, that the rains came, that the corn grew tall, they demanded blood. Imagine the deep, unwavering conviction that your actions directly influence the very fabric of existence. This was the Maya reality. When you look up at the towering pyramids, their stone steps rising towards the heavens, you are not just seeing architectural marvels, you are seeing altars, conduits, places where the sacred contract between humanity and the divine was renewed. On certain days, particularly after a successful military campaign, the city would stir with a different kind of energy. You might hear the distant, rhythmic beat of drums, slow and deep, echoing through the plazas. You would see lines of people gathering, their faces a mix of reverence and solemn expectation. And then, you might see them the prisoners of war. These were not just captives. They were seen as gifts, precious offerings to the insatiable hunger of the gods. Especially valued were the nobles, the rival leaders, those who carried the most potent life force within them. They were considered worthy sacrifices, their essence believed to be more potent, more pleasing to the celestial powers. You might notice that common criminals, like a petty thief, were spared this ultimate fate. They were valuable in another way. Their strength and time put to use in labor, building the very cities that housed these rituals. But for the captured warrior, the defeated king, a different destiny awaited. Picture the scene during one of these mass rituals. The plaza is alive with the soft glow of flickering torches, their smoke curling into the night sky, carrying the scent of copal incense. The air is thick with anticipation, the low chant of priests resonating through the stone. You see the victims, bound, often painted with symbolic colors, their eyes perhaps wide with terror, or perhaps in a strange acceptance of their fate. The priests, adorned in elaborate regalia, move with deliberate, measured steps. The ritual is precise, ancient, steeped in tradition. A stone knife, sharp and dark, is raised, glinting in the torchlight. And then, in a swift, practiced motion, the heart, still beating, is torn from the chest, offered upwards towards the unseen deities. And as the sacred blood flows, it is guided down the steep stone steps of the pyramid, a crimson river descending towards the earth. This wasn't merely a horrifying spectacle, it was a profound symbol. Each drop of blood represented the life force, the cosmic link between the heavens and the fertile earth, a promise of continued existence, of renewed life for the world. You might hear the collective sigh of the crowd, a sense of deep spiritual release and affirmation. It's a stark contrast to our understanding, isn't it yet, even today, in remote Maya communities? You might still find echoes of these ancient practices, though profoundly transformed. The belief in offering to the divine persists. But now, the precious life offered might be a chicken, its blood spilled in a quiet ceremony, a small, yet significant, continuation of a cosmic dialogue that has spanned millennia. The air grows still again, the echoes of the drums fading, leaving you to ponder the immense weight of belief, and the price they were willing to pay to maintain the delicate balance of their universe. As the sounds of the previous ritual fade into the quiet background of your mind, another vivid image begins to form. Imagine the Maya world not just in shades of earthy brown and vibrant green, but also in a striking, deep, and profoundly symbolic blue. This wasn't just any blue. It was a blue that held the very essence of life and death within its hue. A color tied inextricably to the powerful rain god, Shak. You might walk past a Maya home and notice no blue paint adorning its walls. This color wasn't for domestic aesthetics. It was reserved for something far more sacred, far more potent. It was the color of sacrifice, the shimmering veil that preceded the ultimate offering. Picture a large ceremonial space, perhaps an open plaza or a courtyard within a temple complex, where the air is thick with the scent of burning incense and the damp earth after a recent shower. The sky above is a canvas of shifting clouds, hinting at the promise or the threat of rain. Here, before a ritual dedicated to Chayak, victims destined for sacrifice were painted entirely blue. Not just a smudge or a stripe, but their entire body, from head to toe, would be coated in this striking, vibrant pigment. You might imagine the smooth, cool texture of the paint as it was applied. The transformation from a human form to a living, breathing statue of cerulean. It's a powerful image, almost otherworldly. Indeed, some modern observers have wryly referred to these figures as the Smurfs of the Maya, a darkly humorous juxtaposition that highlights the strangeness of the custom to our contemporary eyes. But for the Maya, there was nothing whimsical about it. Blue was the color of water, of the life-giving rain that sustained their crops and their very existence. It symbolized fertility, the generative power of the earth, and the appeasement of the divine forces that controlled these essential elements. To present a victim, completely enveloped in this color, was to make an offering that was visually and spiritually resonant with the very thing they desired: bountiful rain, a fertile harvest, a continued cycle of life. Now, let your imagination conjure the scene in full. The sun has set, and the temple torches cast dancing shadows across the ancient stones. In the center, illuminated by the flickering flames, stands a figure, glowing a deep, ethereal blue. Perhaps their eyes are closed, or fixed on the distant sky, a silent prayer or a final acceptance upon their lips. The air hums with the soft chants of priests, the rustle of leaves in a gentle breeze, and the crackle of burning copal. This blue figure awaits their destiny, a living embodiment of the sacred contract. The dual meaning of blue is profoundly striking. On one hand, it promised life, the nurturing rains that allowed their civilization to flourish. On the other, it heralded death, the ultimate price paid to secure that life. It was a stark reminder of the delicate balance, the constant negotiation between humanity and the powerful forces of nature. The bounty of the earth, the sustenance of their people, was not freely given. It was bought, often at the agonizing price of human lives. Meticulously chosen and symbolically adorned. As you consider this, you feel the weight of their beliefs, the depth of their devotion. The silence stretches, broken only by the gentle whisper of the wind through the ancient stones, carrying with it the lingering scent of blue paint and sacrifice. The image of the blue figure, awaiting its fate, slowly fades, leaving a profound sense of awe and a quiet understanding of the intricate, often terrifying, beauty of Maya spirituality. As our journey continues, let your mind drift from solemn rituals to the vibrant energy of a different kind of communal gathering the ball court. You might imagine a scene of fervent competition, of athletic prowess and passionate spectators. For the Maya, this was indeed the case. But their ball game, known as pits, carried stakes far beyond mere victory or defeat. Here, glory was not just measured in points, but in the ultimate offering, death. Picture yourself standing beside a towering stone ball court, its walls rising steeply, almost like a canyon. The court itself is long and narrow, perhaps 60 to 70 feet long and 20 to 30 feet wide. Perfectly smoothed stone forming the playing surface. The air is electric with the roar of the crowd, the rhythmic thud of the solid rubber ball, and the shouts of the players. Imagine the sun beating down, or perhaps the cool relief of a late afternoon game, the shadows lengthening across the court. The game itself was a breathtaking display of agility and strength. Players wore protective gear, often heavy pads around their hips and shoulders, for the ball was heavy, perhaps 6 to 10 pounds, and striking it with full force could be dangerous. The rules were simple, yet demanding. You could use your hips, your shoulders, your elbows, even your knees to propel the ball. But your hands, those were strictly forbidden, making the control of the ball an astonishing feat of coordination. The objective was often to pass the ball through a high stone ring mounted vertically on the court wall, a challenge so difficult it might only happen once in an entire game, if at all. More commonly, points were scored by getting the ball to touch certain markers or by opponents failing to return it. Now, imagine the tension building, the sweat beading on your brow as you watch the intense struggle. The game concludes, a victor declared, and then the true weight of pits reveals itself. For the losing team, the consequence could be unimaginable sacrifice. You might see the victorious players, their chests heaving, their faces flushed with exertion, now turn their gaze to their defeated opponents, a somber respect mingling with their triumph. Losing the game was not just a blow to one's pride. It was often a direct path to the afterlife, an offering to the gods. Yet, here is where the Maya worldview truly diverges from ours sometimes. Even the winners were sacrificed. This wasn't a punishment. It was the ultimate honor. To be chosen as an offering to the gods after such a glorious victory, at the very peak of your physical and spiritual power, was considered a divine favor, a direct ascension to the realms of the deities. Imagine the concept for a moment: victory, earned through immense effort and skill, rewarded with the highest form of sacrifice. Your blood, still pumping with the adrenaline of triumph, offered as the most potent gift imaginable. It's almost impossible for us to reconcile. Picture the greatest athletes of our time, a LeBron James, after scoring the winning basket in the final seconds of a championship game, or a Tom Brady, having just thrown the game-winning touchdown, being led away for execution, not as a tragedy, but as the pinnacle of their achievement. This was the Maya understanding of glory, a profound connection between athletic excellence, divine favor, and the ultimate sacrifice. As the cheers of the crowd slowly fade from your mind, replaced by the quiet hum of contemplation, you are left with the image of the ball court, no longer just a field of play, but a sacred arena where life and death were inextricably bound. The solid thud of the rubber ball, the strained breaths of the players, the triumphant roars, and the hushed solemnity all echo in the stone. A testament to a game where every play was a brush with destiny, and where glory, sometimes, meant a swift passage to the stars. Let's now shift our focus from the grand rituals and fierce competitions to something far more intimate. Yet equally revealing of the Maya spirit, their profound and intricate ideals of beauty. As you move through their bustling city, perhaps observing the daily life unfolding in the plazas, you begin to notice things about the people that stand in stark contrast to our modern notions of attractiveness. Their standards of beauty were not just different. They were often achieved through practices that to us would seem painful, even disfiguring. Imagine gazing at a prominent Maya noble, perhaps a leader or a revered priest. You might observe a striking profile, dominated by a large, aquiline or hooked nose. This wasn't just a natural feature. It was a highly admired trait, a mark of noble lineage and wisdom. In a world where a straight, delicate nose might be considered beautiful, you are now seeing the profound reverence for a strong, often exaggerated, nasal bridge. For those who were not naturally blessed with such a feature, there were ways to achieve its subtle prosthetics, perhaps of clay or wood, meticulously crafted and worn to enhance the desired profile, making them appear more distinguished, more in line with the aesthetic ideals of their time. Then, as the noble smiles, you might catch a glimpse of something even more startling: their teeth. Instead of the pearly whites we strive for, you would see teeth meticulously filed into sharp, fearsome fangs. Each tooth, perhaps incisor or canine, might be shaped into a point, creating a dazzling, yet slightly terrifying grin. This was not a random act. It was a deliberate mark of class and beauty, a permanent alteration that signaled one's status and adherence to the prevailing aesthetic. Imagine the careful, painstaking process of filing, done without anesthesia. Each stroke of the abrasive tool an act of both self-adornment and enduring pain. The sensation of the sharp edges against your tongue, a constant reminder of the sacrifice for beauty. And as you meet their gaze, you might notice something else. Something that might initially make you feel uncomfortable, yet was deeply revered: crossed eyes. For the Maya, having eyes that converged slightly was considered a divine mark, a reflection of their powerful sun god, Kinich Ahau, who was often depicted with this characteristic. It was a sign of being touched by the gods, of possessing a special connection to the divine. This wasn't left to chance. In noble families, parents would actively train their infants to develop crossed eyes. Imagine a mother gently dangling a small, intriguing object, perhaps a resin bead or a carved trinket, persistently before her baby's nose, encouraging the developing eyes to turn inward, to fixate. It was a practice born of a deep spiritual conviction, a desire to bestow upon their children a mark of sacred beauty and privilege from the earliest moments of life. So, in this Maya world, what we consider painful deformation was their ideal of beauty: a hooked nose, sharp fangs, and subtly crossed eyes, each an intentional alteration, a lifelong commitment to a profound aesthetic and spiritual code. Beauty here meant pain, a willingness to undergo physical modification from childhood, shaping the body not just for adornment, but as a living testament to one's place in society and one's connection to the divine. You begin to understand that beauty is not universal. It is a cultural construct, deeply embedded in belief, and for the Maya, it was a magnificent, yet challenging, art form. The quiet hum of their city carries these lessons, whispering tales of altered bodies and transformed ideals, leaving you to ponder the profound human desire to adorn and define oneself. Continuing our exploration of Maya aesthetics, let's delve deeper into the intricate ways they adorned their bodies. Focusing now on another striking form of self-expression, the embellishment of their teeth with precious gemstones. You might envision the elaborate jewelry of their nobles: jade necklaces, feather headdresses, intricate ear flares. But for the Maya elite, true luxury and status extended even to their smiles. Imagine observing a high-ranking individual, perhaps a revered priest or a powerful lord, engaged in conversation as they speak, or perhaps as they simply offer a soft, knowing smile. You catch a sudden, dazzling glint from their mouth. Tiny, polished gemstones, sparkling with an inner fire, are embedded directly into their teeth. This wasn't a temporary adornment. These were permanent fixtures, a testament to wealth, power, and an unshakable connection to the divine. The choice of gemstones was precise and symbolic. You might see the clear translucence of quartz, reflecting the light like tiny droplets of frozen water. Or perhaps the deep, metallic sheen of hematite, dark and mysterious. Most strikingly, you might witness the vivid, almost blood-red hue of cinnabar, a mineral often associated with sacred rituals and the color of life itself. These weren't just any stones. They were chosen for their beauty, their rarity, and their perceived spiritual properties, turning the mouth into a living jewelry box. Each smile a silent declaration of status. The process of embedding these gems was undoubtedly agonizing. Imagine the skilled artisan, perhaps using a small, sharp drill made of obsidian or another hard stone, carefully boring a precise hole into the enamel and dentin of a living tooth. You can almost feel the dull ache, the sharp jolt of pain, the grating sensation, all without the benefit of anesthesia. This wasn't a quick procedure. It would have required immense patience, skill, and an extraordinary tolerance for discomfort on the part of the individual undergoing the modification. Each gem, meticulously placed and secured, represented not only a financial investment, but a testament to an individual's enduring resolve and their unwavering commitment to the ideals of their society. These jeweled teeth were more than just a fashion statement. They were a powerful symbol of wealth and high rank, clearly distinguishing the elite from the common populace. In combination with the sharp, filed fangs you might have observed earlier, a noble's smile would have been a truly captivating sight, dazzling in its display of precious stones, yet simultaneously formidable and, to our modern eyes, perhaps a little terrifying. It's a paradox of beauty and intimidation, woven into the very fabric of their expressions. You might find yourself drawing a modern parallel, perhaps to the grills worn by some contemporary rappers, decorative covers or caps for teeth, often made of gold or studded with diamonds. But the Maya version was far more permanent, far more invasive, and certainly far bloodier in its execution. It was a 1,000-year-old testament to the human desire for adornment, for status, for expressing one's identity through profound physical alteration. As you contemplate the glittering, fearsome smiles of the Maya elite, you are left with a quiet sense of the enduring human impulse to transform the body into a canvas of cultural meaning, even at great personal cost. The gentle breeze rustles through the leaves, carrying the faint, imagined scent of cinnabar and ancient ambition. As the journey through the Maya world continues, let's turn our attention to a practice that, on the surface, might seem familiar, even comforting: the sweat bath, or temazcal. You might think of it as a historical precursor to our modern saunas or steam rooms, a place for physical cleansing and relaxation. But for the Maya, These structures held a far deeper, more profound significance. They were not just places of hygiene or even health. They were considered sacred gateways, liminal spaces where the veil between the living and the spirit world thinned, offering communion with ancestors and a path to the underworld. Imagine yourself approaching one of these structures. It might be a small, low-slung building, perhaps constructed of stone or adobe, with a narrow, unassuming entrance. The air outside is warm and humid, typical of the jungle, but as you step inside, you are enveloped by an intense, suffocating heat. Hot stones, often heated in an exterior fire and then brought inside, would be doused with water, releasing dense clouds of steam, sometimes infused with aromatic herbs. The darkness inside would be almost absolute, broken only by perhaps a sliver of light from the entrance or the glowing embers of the stones. You sit in this intense heat, your body quickly slick with sweat, every pore opening. For the Maya, this wasn't merely a physical experience, it was a spiritual one. They believed that within the confines of the sweat bath, their spirits could cross into other realms, that the intense heat and the purifying steam acted as a conduit to the underworld. Xibalba, a place of gods and ancestors. It was a journey of the soul, undertaken in the physical body. This contact with the dead, with the spirits of their revered ancestors, was not feared, but embraced as a form of purification and spiritual renewal. You might imagine the quiet introspection, the deep breathing, the sense of your own mortality being momentarily suspended as you felt closer to those who had passed on. It was a space for reflection, for seeking guidance, for shedding not just physical impurities, but spiritual burdens. The heavy darkness, the intense heat, the rhythmic drip of condensation, all combined to create an altered state of consciousness, a space where the boundaries of perception blurred. The sweat bath symbolized the womb of the earth, a place of both birth and rebirth, cleansing and transformation. It was a profound ritual that blurred the line between life and death, ritualizing the constant cycle of existence. Far from being a mere spa experience, this was a deathly spa for the Maya elite, a vital component of their spiritual practices, a place where they could commune with the unseen, purify their souls, and seek renewal. As you slowly withdraw from the imagined heat and darkness of the Temazcal, feeling the cooling air on your skin, a sense of quiet reverence lingers. You are left with the understanding that even the seemingly mundane aspects of daily life, like bathing, were imbued with deep spiritual meaning for the Maya. The gentle whisper of the steam, the quiet contemplation in the darkness, all speak of a people who lived in constant dialogue with the seen and unseen worlds, finding sacred pathways even in the most unexpected places. Let's continue our journey through the fascinating and sometimes startling world of Maya aesthetics, focusing now on a practice that began in the earliest days of life, shaping an individual's very form for a lifetime skull elongation. For the Maya elite, the natural rounded shape of the human head was not the ideal. Instead, a distinctly elongated skull was considered the pinnacle of beauty, a profound mark of nobility, intelligence, and high status. Imagine a newborn infant, swaddled and precious. In our modern world, we protect a baby's soft skull with utmost care. But for the Maya, soon after birth, a different path was chosen. Parents, driven by a deep desire to secure their child's place within the privileged ranks of society, would embark on a deliberate process of cranial deformation, Picture soft, padded wooden boards, carefully positioned and gently strapped to the infant's head. One board perhaps against the forehead, another at the back of the head. These boards would be adjusted periodically, applying constant, gentle pressure over several months, sometimes even up to a few years. You can almost feel the delicate pressure, the soft but unyielding embrace of the boards on the infant's still-forming skull. It was a painful and undoubtedly risky procedure. The potential for infection, for improper shaping, or even for developmental issues was certainly present. Yet, it was seen as absolutely essential, a rite of passage, a necessary sacrifice for a child destined for high status. This was not a casual decision. It was a profound act of parental love and social ambition, a permanent alteration that would visibly mark their child for life. As the child grew, their head would gradually take on the desired, elongated, conical shape. This was not merely a cosmetic choice. It was a powerful identifier. A child with an elongated head was immediately recognized as being of noble birth, destined for prestige and privilege within the complex Maya social hierarchy. You might observe a group of children playing and instantly discern who belongs to the elite simply by the shape of their heads. The long, sloping forehead and distinct cranial curve became an undeniable badge of honor, a visible testament to their lineage and their future. Conversely, a child born with and allowed to retain a normal, rounded skull was immediately identified as a commoner, destined for a life of agricultural labor or other less exalted tasks. It was a permanent, physical demarcation of social class, a silent language spoken by the very form of one's head. So, for the Maya elite, beauty was not just about adornment, it was about profound, lifelong physical sacrifice, starting almost from the moment of birth. It was a striking example of how deeply cultural values could shape the human form, transforming what we perceive as natural into a canvas of social meaning. As you contemplate the image of a Maya child, their head gently reshaped for destiny, you are left with a quiet sense of the enduring power of cultural ideals and the lengths to which humanity will go to embody them. The silent stones of the ancient cities hold these stories, whispering of bodies shaped by belief and lives defined by design. As our journey nears its end, let's explore perhaps one of the most unexpected and, to our modern sensibilities, most bizarre practices of the ancient Maya: their unique method of consuming intoxicants. You might picture ancient peoples brewing fermented beverages and drinking them in communal feasts. And you would not be wrong, for the Maya did indeed produce balshé, a honey-fermented drink, but the story doesn't end there. Imagine yourself observing a quiet, perhaps secretive, ritual. The atmosphere is hushed, expectant. Before you is a vessel containing the balshé, perhaps mixed with other powerful psychoactive substances derived from plants. The Maya sought not just a mild buzz, but a deeper, more profound altered state, a direct connection to the divine, a moment of divine ecstasy. And to achieve this swiftly and powerfully, they often bypass the conventional route entirely. Instead of drinking, they consume these potent concoctions through the rectum. You might picture the specialized tools involved, perhaps hollowed gourds or ceramic enema syringes, carefully crafted for this specific purpose. The liquid, a mixture of fermented honey and sometimes other hallucinogenic ingredients, would be administered directly. The thought alone might make you pause, a stark contrast to any drinking custom you've ever known. This method was chosen for a very practical, albeit extreme, reason: faster absorption. The rectum is rich in blood vessels, allowing alcohol and other substances to enter the bloodstream much more quickly and intensely than if processed through the digestive system. For the Maya, this meant a swifter, more potent journey into the altered states they sought for spiritual communion. They aimed to achieve divine ecstasy, a state of heightened awareness, visions, and a perceived connection with the gods and ancestors as rapidly and powerfully as possible. However, this method also bypassed the body's natural defense mechanism, vomiting. When you drink too much alcohol, your stomach often rebels, expelling the excess. With rectal consumption, this protective reflex is absent, making overdoses far more likely and potentially deadly. What began as a quest for spiritual enlightenment could easily become a perilous dance with death, a fine line between transcendence and fatal intoxication. To us, this ritual might seem both absurdly comic in its sheer unconventionality and simultaneously horrifying in its potential danger and invasiveness. Yet, for the Maya, it was a legitimate, accepted, and effective path to what they considered a sacred experience. It speaks volumes about their relentless pursuit of spiritual insight, their willingness to push the boundaries of conventional consumption, and their deep-seated belief in finding pathways to the divine through any means necessary. As the image of this peculiar ritual slowly fades, you are left to ponder the vast differences in human cultural practices and the inventive, sometimes unsettling, ways people have sought to connect with something beyond themselves. The quiet hum of the ancient world reminds you that normal is a deeply subjective concept, shaped by belief, necessity, and a boundless human spirit. As our tranquil journey through the intricate, sometimes unsettling, world of the ancient Maya comes to its gentle close, we arrive at perhaps the greatest mystery surrounding this magnificent civilization, its decline and eventual collapse. You've explored their grand cities, witnessed their rituals, and glimpsed their unique customs. Now, let's contemplate their vanishing. Imagine the bustling life of a Maya city, vibrant with activity, the plazas filled, the temples echoing with chants. Over centuries, these great centers were built, flourished, and sustained vast populations. Then, slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, a change began to occur. One by one, the great stone cities of the southern lowlands, once teeming with life, began to be abandoned. The elaborate ceremonies grew less frequent. The grand building projects ceased, and the jungle, ever patient, began to reclaim its territory, slowly engulfing the magnificent structures. This wasn't a sudden, cataclysmic event, not an alien invasion, no dramatic apocalypse that Hollywood might portray. Instead, it was a gradual, drawn-out process, a slow fade that spanned over 2 centuries, a whisper of decline rather than an explosion of destruction. You might wonder, what truly happened? Historians and archaeologists have pieced together a mosaic of likely causes, a complex interplay of factors that, over time, eroded the very foundations of Maya society. Imagine the pressure of a growing population, perhaps reaching the limits of what the land could sustain. The lush jungle, while seemingly abundant, offered fragile soils, easily depleted by intensive agriculture. Coupled with this, imagine the impact of persistent climate shifts, prolonged droughts, perhaps cycles of intense dry seasons, starving the fields of precious water and leading to widespread famine. You can almost feel the gnawing hunger, the desperation in the eyes of the people as their lifeblood. The corn withered and died. As resources dwindled and survival became a daily struggle, Internal tensions would have undoubtedly flared. Civil wars, conflicts between city-states vying for what little remained, would have torn at the fabric of their once unified culture. Imagine the weary marches, the skirmishes over dwindling water sources, the breakdown of trust and order. It was a slow societal decay, much like a candle that doesn't suddenly blow out, but slowly, inevitably, burns down to its wick, its flame flickering weaker and weaker until it's gone. The Maya legacy, however, is not one of utter disappearance. While their grand lowland cities were abandoned, their people did not vanish. Descendants of the Maya still thrive today, their languages, traditions, and spiritual beliefs continuing to echo through the landscape. But the powerful, centralized civilization, the one that built those colossal pyramids and charted the stars, did indeed recede. As you reflect on this, a quiet, profound realization might settle over you. Civilizations, like all living things, are born, they flourish, and they eventually change, sometimes dramatically. Their end is rarely a singular event, but a complex tapestry of forces. And as you prepare to drift into slumber, or simply embrace the quiet of the present moment, you might find yourself contemplating our own world. Are we, too, living in a subtle decline that we are simply too close to perceive, too immersed in to recognize the Maya's story, both brilliant in its achievements and chilling in its customs, serves as a gentle yet powerful warning for all humanity, a reminder of the delicate balance of existence, the fragility of even the greatest empires, and the enduring cycles of time. Let the whispers of the ancient Maya fade now, leaving you with a sense of peace, and perhaps a renewed wonder at the vast, intricate tapestry of human history. Sleep well, or simply rest deeply, knowing that the past holds endless stories, waiting patiently to be heard.